Good morning, everybody. I'm glad to be here this morning. My name is Debbie Foster. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm located in Bismarck, Arkansas. I'm glad you're able to be here today. Hold on and let me bring my iPad up so I can watch comments. All right. Okay, I think we're up and running. Be sure to say hello when you come on so I can acknowledge you. And if you're not in Arkansas, say where you're from. It'd be fun to see where everybody is. Got lipstick on my teeth. Sorry about that. I'm just going to give a moment for everybody to get here. I usually go on in the evenings, but I'm switching it back to the mornings, I think. It works better for me. I'm thinking probably Wednesday mornings are good at 10 o'clock. Hope that works for everybody else. And of course, my iPad's acting up. It's saying video interrupted. I hope that's just on my side, not your side. So let me go ahead and get turned around here and we'll get started. Close your eyes if you get seasick, motion sickness. I wish there was an easier and quicker way to do this. Yeah, I'm going to turn you all around and get some things out of the way here. I'm going to kind of watch on my iPad to see if that's a good location or if I need to move it. Bear with me. I can straighten it a little bit there. I think I went the wrong way. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm not going to screen it or zoom it in any. Unless you need me to, just let me know. All right. Like I said, I'm creating cards with Debbie. That's my Facebook page. And you can shop in my store at www.debbiefoster.stampinup.net. And you can purchase all the supplies that I'm using today in there, plus any other ones that you might need. And if you shop in there and your order is under $150, use this host code for October. It's RAUXXPJG. And it's also in the description of this video if you missed that. And you can email me with any questions at creatingwithdebbie179@gmail.com, and my blog address is www.creatingwithdebbie179blogspot.com. And here's the webpage to sign up for Paper Pumpkin under me. So we'll set that aside and we'll get to our news that we have going on. Today is kind of an exciting day. Stampin' Up! Is doing a 24-hour stamp sale. Let me make sure that's in camera view. Let me get some lighting over here too. Alright. And what that is, it's 24-hour stamp sale and you get 15% off. And this is on the cling stamps, the rubber stamps. So, and it says, for 24 hours on October 20th, from 12 a.m. to 11:50 p.m. Mountain Time, online, you can select a number of cling stamp sets from the 2021 to 2022 annual catalog. Will be available for purchase at a 15% discount. You can place an order through me, or they can shop directly on my online store. The store will have a category titled Stamp Sale that displays every stamp set on sale to ensure a quick and easy shopping experience. Okay. And there's pages and pages of stamps here, so it's not just a few, it's quite a few. I have 2 pages printed out of different ones. So if there's anything that you're wanting to get, now would be a good time to do it at that 15% discount. And remember, that's only today. Alright, let me set that aside. And okay, didn't bring out my paper pumpkin. I'm losing things. Things are disappearing on me. Alright, I found it. For November, the paper pumpkin kit is Gifts Galore. And it's, okay, this month's Jolly Kit includes enough supplies to create 9 oversized treat bag boxes with coordinating food-safe bags. It's is an easy to make and even easier to enjoy Christmas products. Arrives in a special box, and it comes with an exclusive stamp set and a Flirty Flamingo classic Stampin' Spot. Okay, trying to read upside down here. It says, we all love to see piles of presents on Christmas morning. Make that your reality with the Gifts Galore paper pumpkin kit with bright, festive colors, classic Christmas sentiments, a charming snowman, and more festive designs. You'll have everything you need to make eye-catching treat packages that are sure to spread Christmas cheer. There's plenty of joy to share with Gifts Galore. So you can sign up for this until November 10th. It's already started October 11th through November 10th. If you have any questions on that, be sure you email me or else private message me, and I'll be glad to help you with that. Okay, I think that's all the news that we need to cover this morning. So, like I said, be sure you say hello when you come on. Hi, Jackie, glad you're watching. Be sure you share the video and like it. And that gives me more viewers. We're going to start out with, being it's morning, we all need our coffee if we're coffee drinkers. So here's the little card that I did. It says coffee, 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 and it's got coffee cups, and then the coffee is embossed. And then on the inside it says, because adulting is hard. I like that saying. It's cute. Okay, thanks, Jackie. So we're going to start with that one. And we're going to do some embossing here. We're going to do a little bit of everything in this one. But the stamp set that I'm using is the Nothing's Better Than. And I got the stamp set, but I forgot to get the dies with it. So I need to get the dies because I had to hand cut my coffee cups out. So it wasn't too bad. It was kind of challenging to get in between the cup handles, though. I used a straight edge razor and cut those out. But then fussy cutting around the cups was fine. That was the only problem I had. So I think I'm going to put the dies on my order next time because it is a cute set. And let me bring out my bits and pieces and my instructions and everything. We just get all that out of the envelope so I don't make all this crinkling noise. Okay, so we've got our card base is cinnamon cider, and that measures 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches, and we've scored it at 5 1/2 inches. I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to burnish the edge of that really good. We're going to be kind of laid back this morning. Hope nobody's in a hurry. If you are, you can catch the replay later, so I just want to take my time with everything today. The inside is very vanilla, and that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So we're just going to set that aside for a moment. I don't want to mix it up with my front panel. And I've got some basic black, which measures, I need to get my instructions here. Yes, the basic black measures 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches. We're going to set our card base aside a minute and work on our other things. And then I've got another Very Vanilla, which measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And we're going to use our stamping blends on there. And I'm going to bring in some scrap paper here, which I have set aside here. There we go. And we're going to use our blending brush. With the blending brushes, you get 3 of these in a package. And I think they're like $12, $12.99, something like that. And when they get dirty, you can just run them underneath your faucet and rinse all the ink out. Or you can just take a towel and rub them off on to get the excess ink off of them, whichever works for you best. And we're going to use pumpkin pie to do our blending. So we're just going to get that into our ink pad a little bit. I'm going to start off on my scratch paper, and we're just going to go down the center of our cardstock and just keep it blending it until you get it where you want it to be. And I think I'll get a little bit more ink. And I'm going to go off that corner there. And maybe come over here on this corner a little bit. And it doesn't have to be perfect, so that's the joy of doing the blending. It's whatever you want. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Alright, we'll set our ink pad aside. And take our scratch paper out of there. And we'll set our blending brush aside. We're done with that. So I'm going to use, the inks that we're going to be using are the pumpkin pie, the early espresso, and the cinnamon cider. So I'm going to go ahead and open all these. Oops, and I almost dropped that on my lap. That would have been a bad situation. And we're going to start stamping our little cups that's out of that set. And I'm going to stamp those using the early espresso. And I should have used my I know, well, no. You could use your stamp apparatus to stamp these. And then you just use a hinge and bring yourself down each one, but I think we're just going to go with this way. I didn't have it set up already, so I don't want you waiting on me. And then we'll do the same on the other side. Angle them to the right side. And you want to leave a little space for the steam stamp. We're going to put some steam on there also. And it's just a little stamp that's got some steam coming up. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not. But we're going to stamp that too using the early espresso. And I should be using my cushion underneath this because we're using photopolymer, so maybe do this the right way. And of course I've got ink on my fingers already. Let me bring in my baby wipe and get that off my hand before I get it all over. And wouldn't be stampers if we didn't have ink all over our fingers, would we? Well, I had a little bit of every color on there. I don't know how I did that. Alright, back to this program here. And that's pretty hot coffee here with it steaming like that is. Okay. And then we're going to take our coffee stamp, the word coffee, and we're going to stamp that on the front. And I'm just putting it here and there. There's no special way that it needs to be. This is going to be covered, so well, I'll put another one right there. Okay, I think that's good. Let me see, do we need anything else on there? Nope, that's good. So we're going to set that aside because we're going to attach that to our black mat here in a minute. And I've got a scrap of the black, basic black, and we're going to emboss our coffee word on there. So we'll set our regular inks aside because we're not using them just yet. And I've got my Versamark ink pad, and I want to bring that coffee back out here, but I need to clean that off with my stamper and my Stampin' Chamois, my Simply Chamois. Hope you can't hear my stomach. My stomach's growling for some reason. Okay, so we're going to stamp our coffee word. And I'm just going to stamp it onto our basic black. Put the lid on there. Put this aside, and I've got a scrap paper here that we're going to use to catch our embossing powder. And I've got copper embossing powder. I just put mine in little containers. I take them out of the jars and put them in the containers. So I want to make sure I've got full coverage on there. That looks good. Done with that. Put the lid on the embossing powder before we turn on the heat gun, or we'll have a very big mess going on. So this isn't the Stampin' Up! Heat tool. I haven't purchased one yet. Mine's been the old one that I bought, I don't know, Hobby Lobby or somewhere, so I want to wait until that goes out before I buy a new one. So I want to be able to see if it turns. Okay, it's turning. You don't want to hold it on there very long because it could burn your embossing powder. So just until you see it change colors, let me turn this off. When it changes to a glossy color, that means it's done. So we've got that. Now we need to bring in our baby boss, and we're going to, oh, I've got kitty hair on there. And bring out my plates that we need. We need the 1 and 2 twos. And I'm going to cut this out smaller so I can make it work on my baby boss without a problem. And we're going to die cut. And the dies that we're using are, let me get the name of them, is the Ornate Frames dies. And I just dropped it. Great. Hold on a second. Take my magnet and pick it up. Okay, but we're going to be using this one here, frame. And let me get that set on there. And that's set there. Should have used some washi tape to hold that in place, but I think we'll be okay. I can't see my comments, but there they are. Okay. I'll set her aside. And I got my magnetic bowl over here for my dies. I'll go ahead and put that in there so I don't lose it. So here's our little label, coffee. So we can start assembling our card now. I'm going to glue this to the basic black using my Tombow glue. Hope everyone's doing well today. It's hard to believe that the week is half over already. This is hump day, Wednesday. I always think of that camel, hump day. Alright, and then we're going to take our ribbon, which is over here. I'm using the gingham ribbon, the black and white. And we're going to put our ribbon across the bottom. And I'm just going to use some Scotch tape to attach that on the back side to hold it in place. And looks like I cut off plenty here. That's okay. Let me make sure I got that straight. Nope, needs to come down a bit. Alright, with that. Alright, now we can glue that to the front of our card. Looks like we're going to have summer back again for a few days. Back up in the 80s again. The mornings have been kind of cool. Last few days though. Had to turn my heat on just to get the chill out in the mornings. Alright, now we're going to take our coffee and we're going to glue that directly down to our card. And I'm going to put it on the right hand side. Alright, now set that aside because we're going to stamp and cut out our coffee cups, which I have already done. I'll just show them to you. I stamped this one using the pumpkin pie, well, early espresso I stamped the cups with, and then I stamped it with early espresso, cinnamon cider, and then the early espresso. So there's 3 different color cups. And we're going to put those up on dimensionals. And I'm just going to put 1 on each one. Alright. I'm going to get my take your pick tool to pop off those backings. And I'm going to start with the pumpkin pie one first, and we're just going to place that at the upper corner of our label there on the left side of it. Then we're going to do the early espresso one, just underneath that, and then another one over here. And there we have that. And I've also tied a bow with our ribbon, and we're going to place that at the bottom. So I'm going to bring in my mini glue dots. I got a brand new roll here that I haven't used too many of yet. And we're going to find a couple of those. And we're going to place it directly on top of our ribbon. I think I want to, get another one to make sure that it stays on there good. I don't want our cards to fall apart. Alright, just like that. And place our ribbon. Got some sticking out there. Okay. And I didn't put those in there. And we gotta have some bling on here, so let me get my gems out here. I thought I stuck them in with the card, but I guess I didn't. Yes, we're using, nope, we're not using that one, we're using a different one. Let me find it. Well, shuffle through the rhinestones. Well, where did it go? Maybe I stuck it in another one here today. Oh, and they're right here. I did have them out, I just didn't look through my pile of stuff. Alright. All's well. We're using the Genial gems. And I'm going to take your pick tool. We're going to use the putty end. And we're going to take a couple of these small ones. And we're just going to place them up in the upper right hand corner. And then I'm going to take another one I'm going to put on our label right in the corner. Okay, so there's the outside of our card. Now let's work on the inside, which I said this was 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And we're using the Berry Vanilla cardstock again. So I'm going to bring out my stamps here. And we're going to start out with the Early Espresso ink, and we're going to stamp on top of our mat, like we're supposed to. And it says, because adulting is hard. It sure is sometimes. We're also wanting to grow up and leave home. We didn't know how good we had it. Well, I've got a smudge of ink there. Let me turn that over and do this again. And stamp it in the center of our portion. Okay, down at the Early Espresso. I feel like I still got ink on my fingers. And oops. Gotta bring my stamp out here. I forgot to do a couple things. It's a little bitty star. There it is. And I'm just going to use the same stamp here. So I'm going to clean off my stamp so I can switch it out. Alright. We're going to stamp this using the pumpkin pie. And we're going to just put one in each corner. Alright. And we're going to come in with our cup, and we're going to make a cup. So, stamp that with the Early Espresso. We're going to stamp that down in our corner, right-hand corner. And also our steam, which I just took off. Yeah, I can see okay with the background. Let's turn it the right direction. Okay. And then we're going to use the pumpkin pie as the center of our coffee. This is cute because the stamps all have the fill-in stamps, so you don't have to sit there and color them. So I'm going to get my head in here a moment and do this. It's not perfect. It's kind of a, I don't know, watercolor look. So we're going to glue this to the inside of our card. Hope you get a chance to take advantage of that 15% off on the stamps today. I gotta go look and see what I want. If there's anything that I was wanting yet that I don't have. Okay, so here we have our card. And you could also put Wink of Stella on the cups if you wanted to, but I didn't do that. Because adulting is hard. Coffee, coffee, coffee. Okay, so let me set these all aside and we'll get on to our next one. Move things around and make a little room here. Okay, so the next holiday coming up is Halloween, so let's go ahead and do our Halloween one. Bring out all my supplies. Let me close up these ink pads. An accident waiting to happen. Okay, make sure my fingers are clean. I might want to do the baby wipe thing just to make sure. Okay, so this one we're kind of using our designer series paper to do most of the work for us. And the paper is the cute Halloween. This is in our mini catalog. And we're going to be using these here. This is the front side and this is the back side. And then we're going to use a little strip of this one here. So here's the card. That treat's so sweet. And this is just cut out of the designer series paper. It's one of these. And then the hat is right there. So, and then happy haunting on the inside. So let's go ahead and get started on that. First off, we're going to start out, as you've seen, I colored our ribbon this different color. It's the purple. Well, it's Highland Heather, dark Highland Heather that I colored it with. We're going to change the color of our ribbon. So I need to bring in scrap paper again so we can do this on. And you use just your blends, and you use the, I call it that brush end. And this is the dark Highland Heather. It works best when you're coloring ribbon if you use the darks instead of the lights of the color family. And just go over it real gently. You don't want to be too rough on your brush end to destroy it, so just go over it lightly and color the white sections. And the reason I'm doing this ahead of time is because it'll take it a minute to dry. I wanted to make sure that it was dry all the way. And this is, I think it's 11 inches of ribbon that we're using. Alright, we just set that up here to dry for a bit. Get rid of our inky paper. And let me get my instructions out here. A little crinkling going on. And I'll do all the measurements here in a minute. Okay, we're going to start out. Our card base is a Highland Heather, and it measures, let me get my bits and pieces out of here. It measures 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches, and then it's scored in the middle at 5 1/2 inches. So we're going to go ahead and burnish that. And what did I do with my bone powder? There it is. Waiting. Give it a good crisp edge. And we're going to just set that aside for a moment. And I've got a basic black mat, which measures 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches. And we're going to just layer our designer series paper on there, which this one measures 4 inches by 4 inches. And that's going to be our upper portion. And then the bottom is just the opposite side of that. And it's got the boo 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 all over. And that's 4 inches by 2 inches. So that's going to be our lower portion. So we're going to start and glue down our ghost to the top of this first. And it's pretty quiet this morning. My husband's outside in the garage working, and Cookie must be taking her nap. And even no loud trucks going by today. We do live on a highway, so we do sometimes get quite a bit of traffic, especially if there's an accident on the interstate. Then they detour them and come right by our house. That can be kind of noisy when there's trucks running, rumbling. So we're going to glue the bottom piece, match it up, and leave just a small border going all around it. Alright. So we're going to set that aside for a minute. We'll let that ribbon dry a little bit more. And we're going to fussy cut our little ghost, which is really easy. We're going to keep that hat right there. And just, there is a punch that goes with this too, but I don't have it. It's in the mini catalog. I guess I can't have everything, so there's a few things that I didn't get. Would like to, but, you know, sometimes you just gotta tell yourself no. Alright, now we're going to cut out the little witch's hat. And it's all straight lines, so it's not really difficult to cut it out. We've gotten so spoiled with punches and dies that we moan and groan when we gotta fussy cut something. So, okay, there we have the hat. Make sure I don't lose that. Let me throw my scraps away. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the top of his head to attach the hat. And I probably should have been using my silicone mat so I didn't get glue all over my work surface. But we're going to chance it here. Okay, we've got that positioned good. Okay, here we got our little ghost with the witch's hat. And I'm thinking our ribbon is probably dry enough, yeah. Okay. So we're not going to tie all this around there. We're going to trim it down so we have enough to make our bow. And that's about right. And I'm going to bring my Scotch tape in here again. If you're not able to watch the live, I hope that you'll be sure to watch the replay. And also on that, be sure you like and share it. It does help me out with viewers. And Facebook likes that when you hit that like button. And I will be posting it later onto YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, be sure that you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified when I load up new videos. And I think there's a like button on there too that you can click. So I'd appreciate it if you did that. Alright, and we're going to put our bow, well, I'm just going to tie a little knot. And we're going to do a little faux bow. Which means it looks like a bow, but it's not really a bow. And bring our glue dots over here again. I don't like the way they've got the new mini glue dots done. They've got them on the opposite side compared to what we're used to. It's all awkward to me. I don't know. I wish they'd go back to the old ones again. And we're just going to place that off to the left side a little bit. I don't want it quite centered. And we'll trim off those tails a bit. And that one a little bit. Alright, and we're going to put our little ghost up on a dimensional. I could have used the black dimensionals, I guess. I didn't even grab those. But this is okay. So we're going to set our little ghost off to the right hand corner. And we're going to come back in and we're going to, where'd that little strip of paper go? Oh, right there in front of me. We're going to stamp our sentiment. And it says, a treat so sweet. We're just going to use our Memento black ink. And I re-inked my ink pads the other day, and I think I got too much on them because it kind of messes up my stamps once in a while. So I'm trying to be careful how I press it on there. Okay, that looks good. And we're just going to snip that at an angle at both sides. And on that side also. And we're just going to place that up on dimensionals. And I might want to use my mini dimensionals, I think. Those be too big. I think those are too big. Let me see. Maybe not. Because the small ones seem like they're a little bit too small. These will work. And we'll pull the backings off with our fingernails that we don't have. Alright, and then we're going to place that in the lower left side. Just like so. It's already getting cute. Alright, so we can go ahead and we can attach that to the front of our card. And I think I'll turn it to that side. And we're going small border going all the way around. And the good thing about the liquid glue is we have a little wiggle room. In case we have it crooked, we can readjust it. Alright. And then I've got our matte black dots. We're going to place some of those out there. Using the take your pick tool again, using the putty end. Place 3 on here. I always like to do things in odd numbers, so on there. And maybe another, where? Maybe right there. Okay, so here's the outside of our card. Oh, and I want to put some Wink of Stella on her cheeks. I'm not sure the camera will pick it up, but it gives a little bit of bling. I'm not sure if you can see it. Just a little bit. Alright, now we're going to do our inside of our card. And we're just using the basic white cardstock, and that's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm going to do my stamping first, just in case I mess up here. So we're going to be using the black memento ink again. And we're going to stamp our, I think I'll start out stamping our bats, because that's probably what I'll mess up with. We're going to put 3 bats at the top of our paper. And I'll leave it there so it grabs the ink really good. I'd like to have it a little bit blacker, I'm not sure. Maybe I should have used the Black Stays on ink to get a better, I don't know. But this is good for today. Or I could have used my Stamparatus too. Didn't even think of that. Okay. And then we're going to use the sentiment that says Happy Haunting. And these all come out of the Banner Year. I don't know if I said that. Banner Year stamp set. And it has a variety of holidays. It's got Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween. So it gives you a wide variety of choices. And that's in our annual catalog. It was a carryover from last year. Alright, we're going to take our Happy Haunting sentiment. We're going to stamp that right in the center. That looks good. Close up our ink pad. Make sure we don't have any ink on our fingers, because when I touch the black, it seems like I always get that on my fingers. Alright. Off of there. And then I've got a strip of that Designer Series paper that's 4 by 2 inches. And I didn't say, yeah, I did say that we used this one. Okay. I had a senior moment there for a moment. Hey, okay. I've had a few of those lately. I had my flu shot last Thursday. Boy, did it make me sick. I was sick for 3 days. It was the high dosage one for seniors, so I don't know what was in it, but it kicked me down pretty good. Alright, so we put that at the bottom edge, and I'm leaving just a small border at the bottom of it. And let me trim off that excess there a little bit. Alright, we're going to glue that to the inside of our card. And I like to match up these 3 sides. I don't worry about this side, because your eye will follow these edges more than it will the top edge. So straight with a little border going around it. Okay, so here's our card. It says, a treat so sweet, happy haunting. So there's our Halloween. And next comes Thanksgiving. So let's do Thanksgiving. Let me move these all out of the way. There it is. Oops, don't fall on me. Trying to move things out of the way here a little bit. So here's our Thanksgiving card. Happy fall, y'all. That's real Southern. We say that a lot, y'all. And then there's the inside. I kept the inside kind of blank in case you wanted to write a little note. I guess we don't do that as often as what we should. Alright. And the stamp set that we're using is the Pretty Pumpkins. And we're also using the dies that goes right along with that called Detailed Pumpkin Dies. Let me get everything out here. We're using just a little strip of the Designer Series paper from the Pansy Patch Designer Series paper. And we're using this one here. That's all the Designer's paper that we're using on this project. And we're going to be using the Color and Contour dies. We're going to be using the second one here. Or no, it'll be the third one. And also, we're using the stitched rectangles. And then our Bark 3D embossing folder. I've already embossed that already, so you don't have to sit and watch me do that. So, I guess that's all I need to go over for right now. We'll get our bits and pieces out here and get started. I guess we're going a little bit over today, but I hope nobody minds that. You can always come back and catch the replay if you need to do anything and have to leave. So we're going to start out with our cardstock is, what are we using? Calypso Coral. Need to get my directions here. Calypso Coral. And it's just our basic size card. It's 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And then it's either folded or scored in the middle at 4 1/4 inches. So we're going to burnish that. And then we have basic white, which measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I've already embossed that using the Bark 3D folder. So, I like both sides, the debossed and the embossed. I think I'm going to go with the embossed side, where it's sticking out. And we have our little strip of Designer Series paper, and that's 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 inches. And we're just going to glue that to our embossed paper here. I got a glue goober on there. That happens when you leave your cap off. No biggie. Clean the goober off and go on. Good as new. And get a hold of this without getting my finger in the glue. Alright, we're going to put that lower center across. And then we'll turn that over and trim off the excess. Okay. And we can glue that to the front of our card. I got some paper stuck in my finger. There we go. That little piece that I cut off, wanted to hitch a ride with me. You didn't want to let go. Okay, and we'll attach that to the front of our card. I had done this card a couple of months ago for a swap that I was in, so I decided to do it today on Facebook Live so everybody could see. And Thanksgiving is coming up, and it is fall, so you can send it out right now. You wouldn't have to wait for Thanksgiving, because it says, "Happy Fall, y'all." That would work. Alright. And then that's for the inside. We'll set that aside for now. I have another piece of the Calypso Coral cardstock, and we're going to die cut the scalloped frame out of that. So we'll bring our baby boss back over here, and we'll do that. Let me move this out of the way. I know I'm going over a little bit today, but like I said, I wanted to be more laid back and not rushed today, so hope everyone's okay with that. And some days we just gotta go slow and take it easy. Not be in a rush all the time. Seems like we're always in a hurry to get somewhere. That one, and that's what it looks like. We set our die in there, and then we're going to die cut another one, which is out of the stitch rectangle dies, and I'm just going to put that on there and run that through. I guess you're not on camera view very well here. I don't want to shake the desk very much here. Make the camera jiggle. Okay, we'll set Baby Boss just over here because we're going to be using her again to cut out our pumpkin, so we'll set that there. There we go, put that in there. This goes on here. And we're going to stamp our Happy Fall, y'all, using our black memento ink. And this one's photopolymer, so we want to use our cushion again. It gives us a better image, stamped image. Better impression. That's what I was trying to find the right word for. And we're going to put that at the bottom right hand corner. Close up the ink pad. Still on. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and glue these two together. And center that on top of our scalloped die cut. And we'll set that aside. Well, we can go ahead and put our dimensionals on there. Oops, things are falling. And my glue dots. I had them just a moment ago. I'm covering up everything here. Okay, we got them. So I'm going to put one in all four corners, and then I'm going to put also in the center to help support it so it doesn't sag on me. And maybe, I know we're using a lot of dimensionals, but that's okay. I know where to find some more in my store. Everybody's quiet today. Or else I'm just not seeing comments. Alright, so we're going to place that over the center of our card. Okay, just like that. And now we're going to work on our pumpkins. And I'm just going to use the Memento black ink to stamp the image with. Because we're using our blends, we need to use Memento black ink to do that, so it doesn't bleed. And make sure I've got a good impression. Looks good to me. We'll cover up the black ink. Make sure the fingers are washed off. Don't touch nothing. Okay, so we're going to be using I didn't have my blends out already. We're using the dark and light pumpkin pie. And I'm going to start out with the dark. And I want to put a scrap paper underneath in case it bleeds through. And we're just going to outline the pumpkins. I probably should have had this colored ahead of time. I would have saved time, but it's okay. I don't have any place to go, so I'm hoping nobody else does for now. If they do, they can come back later, catch me. I'm fine with that. Alright, and now we're going to come in with the light pumpkin pie. We're going to blend that all in. Like I said on my tips before, when you're using the blends, make sure you get that cap closed really tight when you're done with them, because the ink will evaporate because they're alcohol inks. And that can be pretty disappointing if you come back to use it and it's all dried up and nothing there. It's happened to me before. And okay. Okay, one more pumpkin. I don't know, I feel like I'm out of camera view. Maybe a little bit. I was going to use my laptop to watch comments today while I'm doing my live, but it was acting up on me, so I didn't want a chance losing it, so I'm using the iPad again. Alright, so there we have our pumpkins done, and we need to do the stems, which I'm going to be using the dark and light soft succulent. That's a mouthful to say. And again, I'm going to start out with the dark and kind of do a little outlining to do my shading. And on the leaves and the stems. You don't have to be perfect here because it's all going to blend together. You won't even notice that you were scribbling. And this is where it's tricky, is the vine. Okay. That's what you want to hear when you close your blending pens. You want to hear that click. Alright, now we'll come back in. We're going to blend all this. And then we're going to die cut this out when we're finished. And stem a little bit. And I'm going to turn it around. I'm doing it upside down. It's kind of awkward. Does anybody have any plans for the weekend? Won't be long, it'll be here. Seems like the weeks are going awful fast. There, there's that click again. Let's put those aside. And we'll bring our baby boss back over here so we can put her back to work. And oh, I didn't get my die out. We're going to take the outline for the pumpkin and we're going to use that to die cut our pumpkin out. And let me get you a camera view here. And we're just going to line that up. Should have had some washi tape over here. Can I do this without moving too much? Maybe. I think we can. Alright, we'll run that through. I'm usually checking and I use the washi tape to hold my die down so it doesn't move on me. So it's out of reach here today, though I didn't want to get up and go get it. We lucked out. It worked. Get my pretty paper away. And a scrap there and our die there. So here we have our die cut image. And we're just going to glue that directly to the front of our card. And we don't really need any glue at the top stem there, so we're just going to do the rest of it. And we're going to kind of put it at an angle. Alright, and then we've already made a bow using the baker's twine, which is the value pack where you get all 5 colors. Do I have that here? No, I moved it. But it comes in a pack of 5. There's 5 different colors. There's white, black, the tan, and it seems like there's one other color. Oh, here they are right here. Yeah. And I guess the gray, which is probably gray granite. There's a pack of 5, the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. Alright, so I'm going to use a tiny glue dot. These glue dots come with our paper pumpkin kits, so I'm going to use one of those. It seems like they're a little bit smaller than the mini ones are. So I'm going to use one of those to attach our bow. And I'm going to put it down the small pumpkin right at the stem, the base of the stem. That one's twisted on me. I can't get that to straighten out for me. And he doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, he'll have to be the way he is. And we're just going to attach that. I wish this little guy would behave himself and lay there flat like he's supposed to. And then we've got to put some gems, which I didn't get them out. Guess I didn't. I don't like those. I was going to go with the Genial Gems, but I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to use these instead. These are our 2021 to 2023 in colors. Jewels, they're called color jewels. And we're going to take 3 of those and place them on our card. And which color do I want? I think I'm going to go with the soft succulent green. We're going to do the small ones. I guess I only put 2 on there. I'm going to break my rule where I usually go odd numbers, but I'm going to count the bow as 1. Alright, there's our front of our card. So let's work on the inside of our card, which is just our basic white cardstock. That's 4 inches by 5.5. 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And we're going to be using the soft succulent ink pad to stamp our image. And it's just that leaf, pumpkin leaf and vine image that we're using. And I'm just going to stamp that onto our bottom right corner, just to give it a little bit something. Alright, and then we're going to glue that to the inside of our card. And like I said, I'm going to just leave this blank in case somebody just wants to write a note. Or you could add a sentiment, whichever you prefer. So there we have the inside of our card. I'll put the cap on that. Close up our ink pad. I feel like I might have ink on my fingers. I don't want to transfer it to my cards now. Okay, so here's our Happy Fall Y'all card. And get all our cards out here to show. Make sure I fit them in the camera view here. I didn't go too much over, like 15 minutes. That's not too bad. I'm just making sure that you get a good view of those. Okay, so here's our cards for today. Hope you enjoyed them. Hope you are able to case them. And if you want instructions, you can go onto my blog later today. I'll have it up and running. And these should all be in there. And if you have any problem getting there, let me know and I'll send you the link that you're able to click on that and get in there easier. Okay, so next week I think I'm going to continue doing mornings. Thanks, Brenda. Glad you could join. Go back and catch the replay if you missed the beginning. Okay, so like I said, I think I'm going to continue doing Wednesday mornings at 10 o'clock. So the next one will be October 27th already. Wow, that's the last Wednesday of the month too. Well, where'd this month go? Like I said, the days are going too fast. Okay, so I'm going to let you all go and y'all enjoy your day. I hope you're able to get in some crafting time. And we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.